Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. It is your girl Ashley Lorraine. If you have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Give your girl a thumbs up. Let me know what you think. Let's dialogue. Let me know what you want to hear me talk about. This channel is strictly just inspiration, motivation, and just to kind of let you into the mind of yours truly, Ashley Lorraine. So Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you, and give you hope." Come on, people. Today's generation, it's time to start walking in purpose. It's time to start walking in vision. If we could be honest with ourselves, a lot of us are doing so many meaningless things. It's time to really get an understanding of what God has called you to do and walk in that. So you will say, well, how do I do that? How do I know what God has called me to do? I'm not telling anybody to quit your jobs. All I'm saying is we got to be able to hear from the Lord and know what He's telling us to do. So, for instance, 10 years ago, the Lord told me I will be speaking His word in some capacity. And I think for the longest I was fighting that because I still wanted to be young. I still wanted to do what I wanted to do. And that's the last thing I wanted to do was use the platform and the advantage that I had. I really didn't want to use it to give God glory, if I could be honest with you. I wanted to do carnal things. And carnal things are things of the world. Like I wanted to do things that would please my flesh. And I wanted to do things that would appease to me and appease to the crowd that I was around. Well, several years later, what I've come to believe is that when you begin to seek the Lord beyond your own understanding, when you begin to ask the Lord to speak into your life and let you know what you're supposed to be doing, He will do just that. It got to a point where He was calling me. He began to strip things away from me. Relationships, especially friendships. He began to take me into a place of solitude. And in that solitude, He began to just have His way. He began to peel layers and layers and layers. And let me be honest with you guys. When God begins to remove you from people, He's not removing you from people because the people are causing you to stumble. He's removing you from people so that He can have your focus, so that He can have your attention, so you can no longer be distracted. So that's what the Lord was beginning to do. And a lot of times we can't hear from Him because we have so many different distractions going on. To walk in purpose and to walk in vision, you have to be silent and listen. So as the Lord began to call me out and begin to strip me, then He began to fill me up. So it's like He began to pull things from me, and I felt the emptiness. I felt like, Lord, here I am listening to you. I am drawing to you, and now I'm feeling this emptiness. And the Lord said I had to strip you in order to fill you. So He began to just pour different things into me as His vessel. He just began to pour the power of speaking, the power of prayer, the power to evangelize. He just began to pour those things inside of me, and it was like, wow, like this is who you created me to be. And don't get me wrong, it literally, like He spoke this word into my life about 10, 11, 12 years ago, and here I am now at 32, and it's just coming to fruition because I am obedient. Think about it. We have so many gifts and so many talents and so many different things that the Lord has given us. But yet and still, we'll take those same very talents, we'll take those same very things, and we'll pour it into somebody else's company. We'll pour it into somebody else's vision. That if we took that same amount of time that we work in these factories, that we're working in wherever you're working for or whoever you're working for, not just factories, but if we took that very same time and energy and begin to pour it into vision and purpose, begin to pour into that business the Lord spoke to you years and years ago about, but you just too afraid to step into it, or begin to pour into that book that the Lord told you that He had for you, a book about your life. Who can better write it but you? It's like we're afraid to take that step. We're afraid to walk. I'm going to say what I've heard so many different times. Just street mentality is scared money don't make money. Like if you want to be great, you're going to have to take some chances that where you might risk it all. I'm not telling you sell your house, sell everything, and not hear from the Lord. You have to definitely hear from the Lord and be focused. But what I am saying is you can't be afraid to take chances and step out on faith. Like right now, society is too many tools and nuggets and ways to be able to make money and to be able to be an influence to people. whether it be a business, whether it be going back to school. A lot of people don't want to go back to school because of age, or they don't have the time. Like, there's so many different tools and organizations that you can attach yourself to that will fit your personal schedule. You got some colleges and universities, you may only have to go one night a week. You got some schools where you can go to night classes, day class, whatever fits your schedule. You have to understand that you can't always tell people what you want to do, because people will discourage you out of what God has already spoken in your life. You just got to step out on faith. Like, I went to school, I'm getting my master's degree right now in social work, and society says social workers are only going to make a certain amount of money. Well, the Lord said different in my life. The Lord said that I'm going to use your education not for social work. I'm going to use it to be an influence to other single women that may have went through the struggle like you did, that may have taken a similar path, that need to know this, you can do this. I've overcome this. Like, my struggle is not for me. Like, my testimony is not for me. My testimony is to pull somebody else through. So my gift will make room for me. And not even just that, but when you follow and you adhere to God's voice, He will begin to break down statistics. He will begin to break down barriers. He will begin to break down all those things that people will set up against you to distract you from what God has called you to do. Don't get caught up in what society says. If you have a vision and you have goals, by all means, meet those goals. Even to the hustlers out here in these streets, you have so many talented black men, black women that have the gift to be able to even count money. Like, you know how much accountants make? Like, we're talking about, you can dang near make 6 figures as an accountant. Like, if you really get with the right company, right business, all the money you make on the streets, you can flip that and make it legit. I guess people don't understand that. Yes, it takes work, but the most successful people have been told no more times they've been told yes. So I say this, I always go back to the system. I always go back to God's kingdom. It's a system, and I am stepping into working His system in 2018. If God has told me that He's going to use my voice to lead a generation, then that means I got to step out on faith and trust that He's going to do everything He said He's going to do. I don't know how He's going to do it. I'm just going to be available. I'm going to be available. I'm going to tell Him to use me any way, any capacity, and He will do just that. But you have to believe. So hold on to that vision. You know, go back to that book. Go back to that play. You know what I'm saying? Go back to that business plan. Go back to those things the Lord has spoken to you. If He said it, it got to come to pass. And one of the best words, scriptures that I love is that His word would never return back to Him void. It can't come back void. If He said it, it's got to come to pass. If He said it, it must be so. And even more so, because it'll never come back void, that means even when we were first born, I'll take it even back further. When we were in the womb, when we were in our mother's womb, God saw our lives. He saw vision. He saw purpose. He knew exactly the mistakes and different setbacks we were going to have in life, and yet and still He called us. So it's like it's nothing that you can do to talk yourself out of a blessing. It's nothing you can do that can talk yourself out of God's purpose for your life. There's nothing you can do. Walk in vision, my people. Take chances. Take chances, because the chances that you take are not for you. Your testimony and your story is not for you. The struggle is not for you. It's for somebody else. And in the process, God develops you. He develops you. So in the process of even me standing here before you and speaking, and God using me as a vessel to speak to whoever may click on my channel, this ain't for me. But God is still working through me. And still, it's a healing process. Even as He's using me, He's developing me. He's cultivating me. Even in the midst of all of this that's going on, God is still having His way. So I tell you, whether you clocking in or a 9 to 5, or you sitting at home doing nothing, ain't nothing coming to a sleeper but a dream. Hey, and that's real. Nothing coming to a sleeper but a dream. So it's time to wake up, write that goal, make it plain, hold the Lord to it, tell Him this is what I want, I declare and decree it, and walk in it. I'm walking in like I'm already a boss. I'm making business deals and making phone calls like I already got it. Like, I'm not going to wait for nothing to come to me. Like, I'm going to go out and get it. It's mine, and I'm going to take it. If the Lord spoke it, it's mine. If you can't hear from the Lord clearly, get under a pastor or somebody that has some type of spiritual influence that can speak into your life and allow them to minister to you and show you the things that you can't see. That's why God gave us shepherds, which are pastors, because they can see further than what the sheep can see. So if you're not hearing from the Lord clearly, if your mind is so clogged up with so many different things and it's too hard for you to hear and see and you're tired of going back and forth and you wrestling with your own spirit and your own mind, get in a church. Okay? Not just to go to church, but get in a church where the Spirit is reigning, where God is moving, because not every church God moves in, I'm sorry, but He doesn't. Because not every church ain't built on the right foundation. I'm talking about really getting under a ministry and serving. Yes, a part of your purpose is to serve. God said He created us to worship Him. So what are you doing on a daily basis to worship Him? Is your job giving Him glory? Are you glorifying God on your everyday basis? If you're not hearing from Him clearly, check yourself, bring yourself back and say, how am I serving? Because God served people. He didn't go around as if somebody owed Him something. He went around serving people. He went around blessing people. He was a giver and He was a doer. He ain't just talk about it. I'm not saying write the plan out and sit back and wait for something magical to happen. That's nonsense. You want something to happen, you better go out and get it and make it happen. So what y'all think? Am I just running my mouth here? Like, is y'all understanding what I'm saying? It's time to step into what God has called us to step into and stop making excuses of why we in mediocrity, right? Why is it that the devil can sit back and his demons, they can sit back and have this big old party and we can see them prospering, but God's people will sit back trying to figure out what move to make because they waiting on God. But God is waiting on you. I'm just saying. So holler at me. Let me know what you think.